Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to be discussing why rejecting a place at Stanford University was the single best decision I ever made, even though I didn't know it at the time. If you're new to the channel, my name is Diego and this is Apex of Man. I'm an undergraduate student studying business administration and computer science at Boston University. And if you're interested in productivity, self-development, lifestyle design, and how to master your routine and your habits, make sure to smash that subscribe button below and hit the bell icon so you don't miss a single video. New videos out every single week. Let's go. So I wanted to make this video because I know many of you have recently entered university and probably not the university of your choice. And many of you are starting to apply to university right now and you are very, very anxious about the fact of where you're gonna end up and that you didn't end up in your top choice and that now your life is ruined and if you don't get into Harvard, you're not gonna get a good job, and if you don't get a good job, you're not gonna get good money, and if you don't get good money, you can't pay off those student loans, and then you're suddenly gonna become a hobo under some bridge hunting squirrels with a plastic knife from McDonald's. I know how you are thinking right now. That was the exact same way I thought when I was applying to university back in the day. And this is the video that I wish I had back then, explaining that the university doesn't make the man makes the university, and it really doesn't matter where you end up. It matters how much effort you put in and how successfully you navigate university and navigate life afterwards. So let me give a little bit of background. Back in 2017, I applied to Stanford University, early decision. I was very sure that I wanted to go there. My cousin had been accepted a year before, and I was very, very excited at the prospect of going to Stanford at the time. So I applied. It was the only university I applied to in the US, but I also applied to many universities in the United Kingdom. I have always studied in a British educational system during my entire life, and living in Spain, it was very easy to go to the UK and study in the UK, so I also applied to the United Kingdom. Now, I was accepted by Stanford in the United States on December of 2017, and I was also accepted into the London School of Economics in the United Kingdom. However, the process and applications for both places are very, very different. In the United States, you are accepted based on your previous merit, and once you're accepted, you're accepted. That's it. It doesn't matter if your grades drop at the end of the year exams. However, in the UK, you are only accepted on conditional offers. That means they give you a certain target grades for your end of year exams, such as an A and a B, for example, and if you don't achieve those grades, your offer is rescinded. It's completely eliminated. So here's what happened. I rejected Stanford University and I decided to go to the United Kingdom to London School of Economics. I was more excited about the course I would be studying in the London School of Economics than at Stanford. Stanford doesn't have an undergraduate business administration major, so I was going to be studying economics, and that is not exactly what I wanted to study. At the London School of Economics, I would be studying business and finance, and that's why I chose to go to the United Kingdom. However, during the end of the year exams, I slacked off and I missed those target grades. I remember the day when the results came out, the A-level results came out, I called the university and I said, look, I missed those target grades, but I've made it up doing all of these extra credits and all of these extracurriculars. Is there any way that you could give me a spot? And they said no, they rejected my offer entirely. So I rejected Stanford University, and then suddenly the UK University, London School of Economics that I was accepted into, rejected my offer as well. So I was suddenly launched into a completely unplanned gap year that ended up being the single greatest thing that ever happened to me. So here are the things that I learned from that experience and why rejecting Stanford University ended up being the best decision I ever made. These are not revolutionary ideas or revolutionary teachings, but they were things that maybe I knew intuitively, but I wasn't applying to my life. Let's get started. You need a plan B, C, D, E, F, and so on. It is very important to take decisions consciously and evaluate all of the options that you have. Back then in 2018, I was very, very confident in my own academic ability based on my previous academic ability that I would be able to achieve those target grades and get into the London School of Economics. And that is one of the reasons why I very early on rejected Stanford and said, look, it doesn't matter, I'll get into London School of Economics, easy, no factor. However, I wasn't conscious enough to recognize that maybe I could miss those target grades and my ego got in the way. So what I should have done was keep Stanford as a second option and maybe pay whatever you need to pay as a deposit to extend that decision. And then if the London School of Economics rejected me because I didn't achieve those grades, I could go to Stanford University. That would have been the wise choice. That is not what I did. My parents don't know a lot about applying to universities, and I was basically making all of these decisions up on my own and not consulting anybody else. So it was a very naive thing to do, a very overconfident and ego-centered way to take decisions. And now, every time I make a decision, I try to evaluate all of the options I have and try to set out a plan A, B, C, D, E, E, F, whatever, all of the letters, because it's incredibly important to know all of the options that you have available and know that when one fails, you need to know exactly what you need to do next. That's why I write these things down. I map them out visually so I know what I need to do when I make a really big decision, like choosing where to go to university. It taught me the necessity of working hard regardless of circumstances. Back in 2017, 2018, I was going through a very rough time. I was having some family problems, a lot of personal problems. Psychologically and emotionally, I was not very stable and not where I wanted to be. That is the excuse I gave myself to slack off and to stop working hard in school and to stop putting all of the effort I could into my academics. And so evidently my grades started dropping during the last 2 years of high school. This is the reason why eventually I was rejected by the London School of Economics, and it allowed me to understand that it doesn't matter emotionally where you are, you still need to work your ass off to achieve your goals. Your goals are not going to be achieved by themselves. In this world, we are alone, and most of the time you're going to be alone working towards those goals. If you're not serious enough about these goals and you don't take those decisions seriously and consciously, you are never going to achieve all of the great things that you want to achieve. Having goals is fantastic, but you need to put in the hard work. Motivation doesn't matter. Inspiration doesn't matter. Your emotional state doesn't matter. You still need to show up and do the work. Maybe the work is 50% of your potential output, but you still get in there every day and do the work. It's absolutely necessary. It's something that I've learned and now I apply to my life in absolutely everything I do. It doesn't matter if it's personally, professionally, academically, whatever it is, I apply it. And that is one of the reasons why I've created these systems and frameworks that allow me to just get things done and stop relying on motivation or feeling divinely inspired at a certain moment to achieve all of the things that I want to achieve. As I mentioned, I was launched into a completely unplanned gap year, and this gap year ended up being one of the most transformative experiences of my entire life. When you truly have an entire year ahead of you and you can plan it in any way that you want, you understand what your priorities and life objectives are. So the first thing that I decided to do was to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. And for any of you who haven't climbed a mountain or a hill or whatever it is, I truly suggest that you do it. It's not only a physical obstacle that you overcome, it was a very, very grueling 10 days of hiking where the cold and the bitterness just gone into your bones, and it was an incredibly difficult experience. And I remember the last day climbing the summit, everybody was quitting and everybody was coming down, not making it to the top, and you had to push through that mental barrier to get through. I remember I cried like a baby during that last hike, but it was one of the most rewarding experiences because I not only overcame a physical obstacle, but I also overcame a psychological and mental obstacle. I had no access to social media, the internet, to anybody during those 10 days hiking, and it really allowed me to delve deeper into who I was, what I wanted, who I wanted to be, and all of the things that I wanted to achieve. It's incredibly important. I was not mature enough to go to university. I wouldn't have been maximally effective at university, so don't be afraid to take a gap year, to take a break between high school and university. The world is not gonna end because you take an extra year to complete your studies. It really, really doesn't matter. It is much more important that you focus and delve deep into what you want to do, who you want to be, what you want to study, what you want your future to look like, and then embark on that great university experience and truly exploit it as much as you can. Another incredible teaching that I learned from rejecting Stanford University was that the value of networking is absolutely crucial, and it is the single most important thing that you can exploit at university. Academically, most universities are basically the same. The education you get from Stanford University or Boston University or the London School of Economics is gonna be basically the same. However, the important thing that you truly need to spend time fostering during your university career is networking and building those very healthy relationships of people who are better than you, of people who push you, of people who inspire you, of people who motivate you, and of people who you can partner with in the future. Success is not necessarily built alone, and it's much easier when you surround yourself with people who are better, smarter, and more able than you. And I had always been an academic overachiever, and that had been such an integral part of my identity and of my personality that I had never really focused on building relationships. And when I rejected Stanford University and eventually accepted a position at Boston University, I realized that to succeed, I needed to invest a lot more time networking, a lot more time building and fostering healthy and productive relationships to allow me to help others and to allow others to help me in achieving all of the goals and ambitions and projects that I wanted to achieve. So if right now you're in university, it doesn't really matter that you didn't get your top choice. Focus on building those fantastic relationships, going out of your university, going to neighboring universities, traveling to another city, going to events, signing up to online platforms such as Lunch Club, Clubhouse, Ladder. I'm going to link all of these wonderful tools down below where you can get to know people and start building a successful network. So to facilitate your life and ensure that you are taking care and fostering those relationships, I am going to give you a free template that I created to keep track of your relationships. It's a personal CRM in Notion. So you will have to download Notion. It's a free application and you can use this template, duplicate the template to keep track of all your relationships and be reminded of when you need to contact these people based on certain frequencies that you establish in the template. It is an absolutely wonderful tool that I use every day to keep track of my personal and professional network. Truly, truly game changer because it is impossible to keep track of over 150 relationships that you probably have. It's the single most important thing and skill you can develop in your life. So if you can use technology to facilitate that and improve that process, we have to. So link down below, make sure you check it out and leave me a comment down below if it's worked, how you're using it. I know you're gonna extract a lot of value from that tool and it is absolutely free. So those were the things I learned by rejecting Stanford University and why rejecting Stanford University ended up being the single greatest decision I ever made. If you are interested in more college related videos like this, check out this video where I discuss how I got a 4.0 GPA at Boston University during quarantine, and this other video where I discuss the 5 productivity apps that I use to stay productive during quarantine and to crush those online classes that we are all now involved in. Thank you very much for your time. See you in the next video.